Have you ever noticed that some kids just seem to be born lucky? They always had the newest gadgets, went on jaw dropping vacations, and somehow ended up with opportunities that felt miles out of reach for everyone else. It's easy to think, well, their parents are rich, that's why. But what if I told you the real advantage isn't the money in their family's bank account? The truth runs much deeper. There's something far more powerful than money itself, a set of invisible lessons, mindsets, and habits passed down quietly from one generation to the next, almost like a secret financial playbook. Hi, I'm Young, and after years of studying what separates wealthy families from everyone else, I've learned that money follows knowledge, not the other way around. So if you're someone who's ready to break free from financial struggle and start building your own legacy, hit that subscribe button because this could change the way you see money forever. Most people assume the children of the wealthy have it easy because they can swipe daddy's credit card whenever they want. But that's missing the entire point. What they actually inherit, the real gift, is financial intelligence. Wealthy parents talk about money differently. They make sure their kids understand it, respect it, and know how to make it grow. And those conversations start shockingly early. While most families are telling their kids money doesn't grow on trees, wealthy parents are teaching their children how trees can grow money. They're explaining how businesses operate, why certain investments make sense, and what separates people who earn money from those who build wealth. These lessons aren't taught in a classroom. They happen naturally at the dinner table, during car rides, or while making family decisions. And here's the thing. None of this knowledge is reserved for the rich. Anyone can learn it, but very few people ever do. Today, we're diving into 15 of the most powerful lessons that wealthy parents teach their children, insights that can completely transform the way you think about money, opportunity, and success. Lesson 1. Understanding how money really works. Wealthy parents make financial education a priority, not as a subject in school, but as a language of life. They explain where money comes from, how value is created, why different jobs pay different amounts, and what makes money grow. Kids learn about taxes, investments, and the difference between working for money versus having money work for you. The goal is to make money conversations normal, empowering, and even fun, not tense or shameful. Contrast that with many families where money is either taboo or a constant source of stress. Kids grow up associating money with fear, scarcity, or guilt, and that mindset can quietly sabotage their entire financial future. Lesson 2. Assets versus liabilities, the rule that builds or breaks wealth. This one's simple, but it separates the wealthy from everyone else. Assets put money in your pocket, liabilities take money out. Wealthy families drill this into their children early on. That shiny car sitting in the driveway. It's not an asset, it's a liability because it costs you every month. Your home. It might look like an investment, but if it doesn't generate income, it's actually an expense. Rich families prioritize buying real assets, things that generate income, rental properties, dividend-paying investments, or businesses that produce cash flow. And here's the clever part. They let their assets pay for their luxuries. Want a $2,000 a month sports car? Instead of spending salary, they'll buy an asset that earns $2,000 a month, and that income pays for the car. The middle class buys toys. The wealthy buy freedom. Lesson 3. The anti-entitlement rule. Wealthy parents understand something most people overlook. Entitlement destroys everything it touches. They know the world doesn't owe their kids anything, and that's exactly why they make them earn what they receive. There's an old saying, the first generation builds it, the second maintains it, the third loses it. Smart families fight that pattern by teaching responsibility, work ethic, and gratitude. Their kids might have access to resources, but they're taught that success must be created, not inherited. They learn that money is a tool, not a trophy. Lesson 4. Mastering the power of people. Wealthy parents know something most people completely overlook. Money flows through people. Opportunities, jobs, investments, partnerships, they all come from relationships. That's why rich families don't just focus on academics, they focus on social intelligence. From an early age, their kids are encouraged to speak confidently, make eye contact, ask questions, and treat everyone from the waiter to the CEO with equal respect. They understand that being likable and trustworthy opens more doors than any degree can. As a result, these children grow up knowing how to connect, not just communicate. Think about it. When someone genuinely listens to you, remembers your name, and adds value to your life, you want to help them in return. That's how wealthy people build networks that create endless opportunities. And this isn't about being fake or manipulative. It's about understanding people. When you make others feel seen and valued, life tends to reward you back. The children who learn these soft skills early often end up leading teams, closing deals, and being offered chances that others never even hear about. Lesson 5. Focus on increasing income. not just cutting costs. While most families teach their kids to save money and avoid spending too much, wealthy families flip the script completely. They teach their children that saving alone won't make you rich, earning more will. There's a limit to how much you can save, but there's no ceiling on how much you can earn. Instead of telling their kids, don't buy that coffee, they ask, how can you earn enough so it doesn't matter? This mindset shifts everything. It moves your focus from scarcity to abundance, from fear to creativity. While one person worries about saving $20, another person is learning how to make $2,000. Wealthy families raise the second kind. They also teach their children that time is more valuable than money. So instead of spending hours clipping coupons or chasing small discounts, they focus that same energy on building new income streams through skills, business, or investment. So that's how they grow wealth faster, by working smarter, not just harder. Lesson 6, habits compound faster than money. Here's a truth that the wealthy understand deeply. Success isn't built in leaps, it's built in layers. Wealthy parents teach their kids that small habits done consistently are worth more than occasional bursts of effort. They learn that reading for 20 minutes a day compounds into knowledge. Saving or investing small amounts consistently compounds into wealth. And showing up early, staying curious, and following through on promises compounds into reputation, something money can't buy. Habits are like hidden engines. They're boring at first, invisible for a while, and then suddenly unstoppable. That's why rich families create habit environments. Their kids grow up seeing their parents read exercise plan, their weeks track goals, and those patterns become normal. They understand that success isn't about discipline forever. It's about creating systems that work on autopilot once the habit sticks. If you get your habits right, your results take care of themselves. Lesson 7. Money is just a tool, not a master. This might be one of the most powerful mental shifts wealthy parents pass down. In many families, money is emotional. It's seen as something scary, unfair, or even evil. But rich families teach the opposite. Money is neutral. It's neither good nor bad. It's simply a tool to shape the life you want. A hammer can build a house or break a window. It depends on who's holding it. When kids grow up seeing money as a positive resource, not a source of stress, they make smarter, calmer decisions. They don't fear money and they don't worship it, they respect it. This emotional neutrality is key. Because when you remove guilt, greed, and fear from the equation, you start thinking clearly about how to earn, invest, and grow wealth with purpose. And that's what separates financial peace from financial chaos. Lesson 8, the power of long-term thinking. Here's one of the biggest mindset differences between wealthy and struggling families. The rich think in decades. Most people think in days, while the average person focuses on short-term rewards, a new phone, a weekend trip, a bonus. The wealthy are planning 10, 20, even 30 years ahead. They've trained their minds to zoom out to see the big picture. Wealthy parents teach their kids patience. They explain that real success takes time, that compounding, whether in money, knowledge, or relationships, can't be rushed. This long-term perspective changes everything. When you're thinking in decades, you don't panic over temporary setbacks or short-term losses. You start to see life like an investor, not a gambler. Most people overestimate what they can achieve in 1 year and massively underestimate what they can build in 10. Rich families remind their kids that consistency beats intensity every single time. That's why they focus less on quick wins and more on building systems, habits, businesses, and investments that grow quietly in the background. Lesson 9. Knowledge is the real currency. Wealthy parents never stop emphasizing one thing: skills and knowledge outlast money. They teach their kids that financial wealth can vanish, but who you become never leaves you. That's why they don't just tell their children to get good grades. They teach them to become valuable. Because the marketplace doesn't pay for diplomas, it pays for value. They ask, what problems can you solve that others can't? What skills do you have that make life easier, faster, or better for others? That's where real wealth begins. This is also why rich families invest heavily in learning experiences, travel mentorship projects, and exposure to new ideas. They want their kids to see how the world works beyond their neighborhood or classroom. They know that the most successful people aren't necessarily the smartest. They're the ones who learn faster, adapt quicker, and add more value than the competition. So instead of chasing job titles, wealthy kids grow up asking a different question. How can I become too valuable to ignore lesson 10? Make money work for you. This lesson marks the turning point between earning money and creating wealth. Most people are taught to exchange time for money, work an hour, get paid an hour. Wealthy parents flip that script completely. They teach their kids how to make money work independently of their time. That means investing in things that grow businesses, real estate stocks, intellectual property. It's the difference between being the employee and being the owner. And here's the powerful part. This mindset can start small. Even a child who learns to save part of their allowance and invest it instead of spending it all starts building the foundation for financial independence. Rich families explain that every dollar you don't spend is a worker you can send out to earn more. The goal isn't just to collect money, it's to build an army of dollars that bring back reinforcements every month. So while others are asking, can I afford this? The wealthy are asking, is this the best use of my money right now? That subtle difference changes everything about how they spend, invest, and plan. Lesson 11, solve bigger problems for bigger rewards. Here's something wealthy families make sure their children understand early. The size of your income is determined by the size of the problems you solve. If you want to earn more, or solve better. Most people get trapped in jobs where they trade their time for small, repetitive tasks. It's comfortable, but it keeps their income capped. Meanwhile, the wealthy train their minds to look for inefficiencies, unmet needs, or opportunities that help large groups of people. You don't have to start the next big tech company, but you do have to think like a problem solver. Every successful business career or invention exists because someone saw a problem and created a better way to solve it. That's what wealthy parents emphasize. Don't just do what you're told, think about how to improve what's being done. Innovation doesn't always mean new technology. Sometimes it's just better communication, smarter systems, or faster solutions. And the bigger the problem you solve, the bigger the reward you'll earn, not just financially, but in purpose and influence too. Part 4, the mindset that protects and multiplies wealth. Lesson 12, time is the ultimate currency. Ask any self-made millionaire what they value most, and they'll tell you the same thing. Time beats money every single day. Wealthy parents understand that time is the only resource you can't earn back. That's why they train their children to protect it fiercely. While most families fill their schedules with low-value activities, rich families teach their kids to measure the return on their time, not just their money. They'll ask, is this activity bringing you closer to your goals? Is this task creating long-term value or just short-term comfort? This mindset also changes how they view education. Wealthy parents don't automatically push for the traditional 4-year degree if it doesn't serve a meaningful purpose. They'd rather their children learn practical high-value skills like communication, leadership, investing, or entrepreneurship than collect a diploma that doesn't translate into opportunity. That doesn't mean they dismiss education. They simply make it strategic. They understand that learning should multiply your options, not trap you in debt. The wealthy teach their kids to see time as a non-renewable investment. Every yes to something meaningless is a no to something that could change your future. Lesson 13, the secret of good debt versus bad debt. Most people grow up hearing debt is bad, but wealthy parents know. The truth is more nuanced. They teach their kids that not all debt is created equal. Bad debt makes you poorer. Good debt makes you richer. Bad debt is borrowing money to buy things that lose value, new cars, vacations, gadgets, or designer clothes. You pay interest on items that do nothing for your future. Good debt, on the other hand, is borrowed to buy assets that generate income or increase in value. Real estate investors do this constantly. They use borrowed money to buy a property that tenants pay off for them. It's not about being reckless, it's about being strategic. Wealthy parents show their children how to make debt work as a lever to scale businesses, acquire investments, or multiply returns. They teach them to ask one simple question before borrowing. Will this purchase put money in my pocket or take it out? If it earns you more than it costs, it's an investment. If it costs you more than it earns, it's a trap. This is how the wealthy use the same financial system everyone else fears, but to their advantage. Lesson 14, the 80-20 rule, focus where it matters most. The Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20 rule, is practically a family philosophy for the wealthy. They teach their kids that 80% of results come from 20% of actions. The trick is knowing which 20%. In school, this might mean focusing on the key subjects that build lasting skills instead of chasing perfect grades in every class. In business, it means identifying which clients' products or efforts create the most value and doubling down on them. This is why rich kids don't always appear to work harder, they simply work smarter. They learn to prioritize impact over busyness. This rule applies to life too. Most of your happiness, growth, and success come from a few key habits, relationships, and decisions. Once you identify them, you stop wasting energy on the noise and start focusing on what truly moves the needle. Wealthy parents want their kids to understand that efficiency is intelligence in action. It's not about doing everything, it's about doing what matters most consistently. Lesson 15, stay humble. Money doesn't make you better. Here's the final and perhaps most grounding lesson: money doesn't define your worth. Wealthy parents make it clear having money doesn't make you smarter, more moral, or more important. It simply solves certain kinds of problems while creating others. They teach their children that true success is about character, not cash. Humility, respect, and gratitude are non negotiable because arrogance destroys wealth faster than any bad investment. Some of the richest people in the world live quietly, dress simply, and treat everyone with respect. They understand that reputation and relationships outlast any fortune. Money can buy comfort, security, and freedom, but it can't buy happiness, love, or purpose. When kids grow up understanding this, they don't chase wealth to prove their worth, they use it to build worth for themselves and for others. And that's the greatest inheritance of all. The irony is that none of these 15 lessons require being born rich. They require understanding how money time and mindset interact and being willing to think differently from the crowd. Because the real inheritance isn't a trust fund. It's wisdom, the kind that lets you build, protect, and multiply your own wealth from scratch. So stop waiting for a lucky break. Start thinking like the people who create them.